This is Gang Green Blitz with your host, Joe Mauceri.
Well, Aaron Glenn says these are not the same old Jets, and you know what? I think he's right. They could be worse. Hello and welcome to the Gang Green Blitz. As the cheese stands alone, the Jets, the only remaining winless team in the NFL. And I feel like he predicted it just because he never wants a cup of coffee in his life. He joins us each and every week. NFL reporter for the New York Post, Ryan Dunleavy. Ryan, you're not worried at all about drinking coffee this year, are you?
Zero. I have zero doubt, zero faith that they'll win on these two teams will win on the same day this year. Zero.
I was really hoping that we were going to get a caffeinated version of Ryan Dunleavy just to see what it's like on the show here, but I too think that will not be the case. All right, the Jets lose again. This one not even close. They basically had 6 points in this one until garbage time against one of the worst defenses in the league. And you were there to take it all in. So what did you see from your vantage point?
They are the king. They are the kings of fantasy football, where Justin Fields ends up with 283 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, and some owner out there is like, "Oh, Fields is good," and then Garrett Wilson gets a touchdown, and it's like, "Oh, okay." Forget that he didn't have a catch for 35 minutes across the game. What I saw was this was a game that came down to 138 seconds. Joe, it was 10-3. Breece Hall and the Jets were driving for the game-tying touchdown. They fumbled. Then Aaron Glenn actually called a timeout because he was so optimistic his defense was going to get a stop in the final 2 minutes of that first half, and he'd get the offense back the ball, and they'd have another chance to tie it at 10-10. And instead, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, a couple penalties mixed in, and it went from 10-3 with a worst case of 10-6 and possible 10-10 to 23-3 and getting booed off the field at halftime. 138 seconds, the longest 138 seconds of Aaron Glenn's life.
I got to give credit to Perry Sook from our station here. He was out there. He said the only thing louder than the chants from Cowboys fans were the boos from Jets fans in this one. And they really never were in it here. After the game, Aaron Glenn was asked about the messaging to the team and is it getting through? Here's what he had to say.
I really am. And the reason why is because when you guys talk to them, they say the same things that we say in our team meeting. And listen, it's going to take time, fellas. I mean, just because, we're struggling this year. I talked to 2 guys this week. Again, I told you guys, Tony Dungy, Jimmy Johnson, they all had these issues early on. And listen, I'm not throwing any one of these guys out. The only thing that we can do is go back to work.
I'll tell you what, I appreciate his loyalty. And I think he made a good point when you look at some of those examples that he gave, right? The Cowboys were terrible under Jimmy Johnson when he took over. He said Tony Dungy, obviously, with the Colts. And you can throw in Bill Walsh with the 49ers, right? They were all horrible. But this is
Bill Parcells.
There you go. This is historical badness here. As the Jets 0-5, Glenn is the first head coach in the New York Jets history to go 0-5 in his first 5 games in his first season. And they don't have a turnover through 5 games. They have not forced a turnover through 5 games. I mean, in your lifetime, is this the worst version of the Jets that we've ever seen? Keep in mind, they did go 1-15 under Rich Kotite.
Yeah, and they went 2-14 under Adam Gase and started 0-13 that year. So that's a high bar. I'm not ready to say
or a low bar.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not ready to say they're going to clear that bar. It clearly looks like a 2 or 3 win football team. It doesn't do us any good to start comparing 2 and 3 win teams to see which one is worse. But I'll say this. I can appreciate that he called Dungy and Jimmy Johnson, or that they called him, actually, he said. But, how come nobody called Nathaniel Hackett to find out about the problems he had when his team went bad, or Rich Kotite, or Pat Shermer, or Joe Judge? It's great that you called the guys who turned it around, but there's 10 times more guys who start badly and never turn it around than there are Bill Walshes and Bill Parcells who turned it around. So it's great you can get advice from the guys who are Hall of Famers, but you're trending more towards the guys who are forgettable. So I don't know that I agree, Joe, that the message is getting through just because guys are saying the same things to the media. In my experience, I actually think that's just the easiest thing for guys to do is repeat what they
Yep.
know their coach is going, what they know their coach is telling them as the answer, regardless of the question. Almost don't know that the message is going through because the Jets aren't getting any better. Like it's still penalties, it's still turnovers, it's still sloppy play. The games look the same every week. So I'm not sure that the message is getting through.
All right, and when it comes to that deja vu all over again here, the defense looks bad yet again. I mean, this is one of the worst defenses in the league. They gave up 180 yards on the ground, 135 to Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
The tackling looks poor in this one, and I bring this up because this was supposed to be Aaron Glenn's calling card, right? He is a defensive-minded coach. He came over from the Detroit Lions, where he said he got some grace from Dan Campbell. When you look at this here, is there any sign? Because the Jets defense was supposed to be good. Even under Robert Saleh, at least it was usually in the top 5 by the end of the season. This Jets defense is going to sniff the bottom 5. Forget about the top 5. Why have they struggled just so much week in and week out?
I don't think they're very good. Like I just don't think they have very good players. Like Jamie and Sherwood, there's a chance he's very overvalued at $15 million a year player. Like he was barely a starter, and it wasn't at this position when last season started. He's not as good as CJ Mosley. Brandon Stevens is a $12 million player a year. He's not as good as DJ Reed was. Like the inside guys that are playing right now are not as good as Solomon Thomas or John Franklin Myers or the guys that Salah had up front. Like they're not as good. So they have, I think anybody, myself included, who thought the Jets defense was going to be good because they have some names and because that's Aaron Glenn's calling card, they overrated it. I mean, the solid defenses were pretty good statistically, but always came up small in the big moment, and they had better players than this group. So worse players and learning a new scheme, that's a pretty lethal combination.
All right. Well, I guess you kind of alluded to the fact that maybe Steve Wilks is off the hook then, but he's been getting.
I don't know about that. No,
well,
I mean somebody's gonna have to fall on the hook, and it's probably not going to be the head coach with the 4 or 5 year contract. So no, I don't know if he's off the hook. I mean, Steve Wilks got fired by the 49ers after going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So that tells you what Kyle Shanahan thought about the job that Steve Wilks did. So I don't know. I think you make a good point. The Lions under Aaron Glenn, under Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn's first year were hideous on defense.
Yep.
The numbers were awful. And Dan Campbell stuck with Aaron Glenn, and now he's a head coach. That doesn't mean, like we were saying, not every 1 in 15 season is Jimmy Johnson. There's also Rich Gotites. So that doesn't mean that Steve Wilks will get it turned around. They don't have great players, but I don't think Wilks is giving them an advantage in any regard either.
All right. Well, I did say that I would like to work for Aaron Glenn because he is such a loyal guy. And here's what he had to say about the possibility of even taking play calling away from Wilks at this point after the loss.
I know that's going to be the thing that everyone says, but I always go back to my first year in Detroit when we struggled on defense too. And our head coach had a lot of confidence in me making sure we get it right. And I feel the exact same way. I have a lot of confidence in Wilks. He's done a lot of great things in this league as a defensive coordinator. And I'm going to allow him to do his job. I am. You know, because once things change, then the mentality of everybody starts changing as far as, oh, he can coach, you know, and that's what happened to me. So I have all the confidence in the world in him. I have all the confidence in the world in Tanner and all the confidence in the world in Banjo. I'm going to let those guys do their job.
All right. So my producer, Justin, I'm going to give him credit for this, brought up a great point here. I get the faith that Campbell had in Aaron Glenn because Glenn didn't have the experience that Steve Wilks has. I get Glenn having faith in Tanner Engstrom, who doesn't have that body of work. Let's give this guy some time to play out and see how he grows into the role. Wilks has a body of work under him, as you were just saying there. So, I mean, do you think it is it's not the right approach by Glenn in somebody like you got to believe what you see because you've seen it before when it comes to Wilks?
Look, here's what I think. I don't know that this Jets team is going to get any better by changing coordinators. If you in season, If you told me after it's a one and done for Steve Wilkes, if it doesn't get any better, yeah, I would say that's probably true. I would probably say that almost has to happen. But I don't know that 5 games into this, I'm looking to change coordinators for a spark. Why? So they can win one game and be 1-8 instead of 0-9. I'm not. I don't know that I agree with that. I think I actually like Darren Glenn's answer. I was at the game yesterday. I like Darren Glenn's answer that we ask these questions as media people all the time about when somebody's on a hot seat about job security and changes, and you always get these waffly answers, and my key card works, and all this kind of like stuff that leaves room for interpretation. There was nothing from Aaron Glenn there. That was like, look, this is my experience. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out of the way. Let them do it. The last thing Steve Wilkes needs is Aaron Glenn hanging around his meeting room, looking over his shoulder. That just sets a bad who's in charge kind of vibe. Let him coach the season, and if they stink as bad as they stink right now, then you make the change, and that becomes your first scapegoat. Like we know, every losing team has a scapegoat.
Yeah, it's not instant coffee, as he's told us several times this year. He wishes he could turn it around faster. All right, we have to take a quick break. We will be like instant coffee right back on the other side, and we're going to hear from some of the players in the Jets locker room and their reaction to the latest loss. Stay with us. The Gang Green Blitz coming right back.
Welcome back to Gang Green Blitz.
Welcome back to the show as the Jets fall to 0-5 on the season, the only remaining winless team in the NFL. I am Joe Mauceri here with NFL reporter Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. And Ryan, we were talking about it before, the messaging from Aaron Glenn and whether or not it's getting through to the players. Here's what Garrett Wilson, who I believe is the face of this team now, had to say after the game regarding the messaging from his coach and the new regime.
Yeah, no one expected this. I will say that, when this is my first time going through a staff change, a full staff change, and I couldn't say I knew what I was getting into as far as the growing pains that come with that. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is what new coaches go through, but new staffs, but I still have that faith that we're going to be better off for it. I feel like we are building something in that locker room, leading up to Sundays every week, and then we're not coming out winning the game this on Sundays, which isn't okay. But the foundation is there.
I don't know. I think we hear this a lot of time from players, and it comes across as just the thing that they have to say after the game. It felt genuine, though, from Garrett Wilson to me, that he does have faith in this regime, that they are building a foundation. What was your takeaway?
It's different when it comes from Garrett Wilson because, like you said, he's the face of the team. And there have been times where Garrett Wilson has sounded like he doesn't buy what is being sold to him. Like, Garrett Wilson is a very transparent person, so I think he still believes it, and like it's only 5 games, he better still believe it. But like there are times where you can tell that Garrett Wilson isn't buying what he's being fed. So I think yes, to your point, that works. And Harrison Phillips, who's become one of the spokespersons of this team, said something very similar. And he's been on the Vikings and the Bills when they were in the early stages of a regime change, and he said it's kind of sees some similarities. So I think they still believe in him, but at some point the results on the field have to look different. Like, just lose a game a different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do find new and entertaining ways to lose games from time to time here. I mean, this isn't the same thing over and over again.
I mean, it feels like. I mean, the 2 games in 6 days felt very, very similar. The penalties, the fumble at the goal line or red zone or whatever. The 2 games felt very similar in 6 days.
All right. Well, we didn't talk after the loss to Miami, but according to all the reports down there, Glenn was ripping into his team after that loss, so much so that several members of the media said they could hear it from the media room, which was right next to the visitors' locker room there. So, given that, were you surprised? Like, so here's where I go with, I believe Garrett Wilson, that he has faith in this staff. If you believe in the direction of the coaching and that you have their back, you like what they're saying, and then you get ripped into, you would think that you're going to come out with an inspired effort in the next game. So having that, were you surprised? Like even teams that go 1-15 have those games where they show some fight, albeit in a loss. Were you surprised that it didn't seem like the Jets even had any fight in this one?
Well, see, I don't know that I agree with that,
Okay.
Joe. Like, I think they came out, they had the 13-play drive, right? They got a field goal. They should have got a touchdown. They shoot themselves in the foot with penalties. And then it was 10-3 with 2 minutes left, or 2:38 or whatever left, in 2:18 left in the second quarter. Like, they weren't scoring. It wasn't like entertaining football, but it was competitive football. And then the fumble happened, and I think that's where all the wind went out. That's where they had their, like, here we go again moment that the Jets are always trying to fight against. I don't think that they came out, uninspired or ill-prepared or whatever. I think they had a moment of adversity, and it totally sunk them. And that's what I'm talking about when I say that I don't know if his message is getting through. Not that they're not repeating what he says, but he's a big, like, we'll battle through adversity coach. And adversity hit, and they folded.
All right. Well, you mentioned all the miscues, the penalties, the turnovers. Here is what Justin Fields had to say about all the mistakes after the game.
It just comes back to self-inflicted wounds, and it's become a weekly thing. We talk about it all the time, but it just has to come to a point where we're actually getting rid of those when it comes game time. So, I think that was kind of the turning point, and it's my job to keep the guys up on the sideline and fight through adversity and just keep going.
I think the quote of the year still came from Breece Hall when he said, while other teams shoot themselves in the foot, we shoot ourselves in the face. And that's fantastic. We got to put that on T-shirts. Go ahead.
We should talk about Breece Hall, actually, Joe.
Go ahead.
Because I actually thought after the game, he had that fumble, but he also had 150 yards from scrimmage. He was the picture of a guy who is, like, frustrated beyond belief. He said something yesterday, like, I'm running out of time. I don't have the time to play the blame game. I'm running out of time to prove the player I can be in the NFL. Like, that's a guy who that was a moment of, like, this guy the losses are weighing on him. He knows he's a running back. He knows running backs have time clocks. He's on a contract year. He knows he might not be long for the Jets. Like, you could see the mental anguish, I guess is the word I'm looking for, Joe. I thought Breece Hall was anguished yesterday, and not just because of the fumble, but because of what the fumble means for this Jets season and his Jets career. When guys start talking about running out of time, that is real wake up. That's one of those, like Sauce Gardner said, he can't sleep at night. You could tell this is wearing on these guys.
I mean, obviously, look, Breece Hall, let's not forget he missed a year due to injury, and it's just a reminder of how ephemeral careers are in the NFL, because we remember the guys who played for. Thank you. Stick around. Short-lived for those. How short-lived the careers are in the NFL, because you're here. You got a guy like Breece Hall who fans out there know. And we're talking about year 4, right? You remember the guys who play 5 or 10 years, and there's such an anomaly in this league. And for a player to kind of let you into that vulnerability and that awareness of how short that is was kind of eye-opening. But look, he misses a year, obviously, with the injury and wasn't the same player, right, when he came back. Obviously, the expectations that he and this team has dealt with once Aaron Rodgers came in here. But again, you look at it proving the player that you are, and maybe some of that frustration. You got to hold on to the ball. If that was the game-defining moment, right? Is your penalty, is your fumble in this case? Then you got to take some ownership of that. I don't know, because I heard that quote as well. Do you think he's pointing that finger at the organization, or it is just bigger picture? Like, I got to be better, we got to be better, because this could be over essentially.
No, I think in the short view for yesterday, he pointed the finger straight at himself. Like, he said, I put it on me. Put it on me. I don't have time to play the blame game. He actually said something I've never heard a player say, which is like, if I can't hold on to the ball, I don't need to be on the field. So,
wow.
I've actually never heard anybody say that before. So in the short view, he was putting it on himself. The long view, the, like, running out of time thing, that might have been a bigger picture thing of, not just the organization, but maybe seeing his end of the time with the organization. And guys always have a soft spot for the first organization. So, like, maybe he sees the writing on the wall that it's coming towards the end for him here with the Jets. And obviously, these are his buddies. This is all he knows. So I'm sure he really wanted it to work out here.
You always remember your first, Ryan Dunleavy. Always remember your first.
Yes.
All right, so with all that being said, with time being short, is it time to go to Tyrod Taylor? And I'm going to say this. You said they faced adversity. Right? They faced adversity and they folded yesterday. The happiest Aaron Glenn has been all season was in the loss where Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback, but they fought till the very end. And that was what he was preaching. That's what he wanted to build on. I mean, your quarterback is going to go a long way. Field said it afterwards. I have to get the guys motivated and be able to deal with that adversity. Well, seemingly, maybe Tyrod helped motivate the team when they were down, and it didn't happen. And the other thing with it is I get the whole reason that you stick with Justin Fields is because of the upside when you're evaluating long-term potential, right? The ceiling was higher for him there. But to this point in the season, I think we pretty much know where we're at with Justin Fields, and we've got that question answered. So is it time to go to the backup?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person, Joe, because I've said it before. I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. Tyrod Taylor's better than Justin Fields. So, like, you're playing the worst player. Now, Tyrod Taylor's older, and Tyrod Taylor's not going to be your future, and Justin Fields maybe could have been your future, like you just alluded to. But, like, Justin Fields looks to me a lot like he did in Chicago. So, like, I'm not sure that I think this is probably what Justin Fields is. His relationship with Garrett Wilson keeps Garrett Wilson happy because they're college teammates and buddies, and we know Garrett Wilson can be emotional. I get that. I think you're playing the worst player. So, like, I think if you're trying to win games, I would play Tyrod Taylor. If you're trying to develop Justin Fields into something that maybe he could be a longer-term answer, then I guess you stick with him. Guess it's what you're trying to do. I would probably go to Tyrod Taylor, but I probably would have started Tyrod Taylor from the start of the season.
But if you're talking about building a culture and trying to change that tide, don't you need some wins? I feel like wins have become such an undervalued stat in the NFL. We talk about it all the time. I mean, this guy had success in Baltimore. He took Buffalo to the playoffs to end a playoff drought that was almost as long as what the Jets are going through now here.
Here's what I'll say, Chip. Here's what I'll say I've learned in 8 years of the NFL. Wins are the most important thing for building a culture. But you also don't want to feel like you were lied to as a player. Like, I've had this conversation with players a lot. And reporters say this. Like, I always say, like, if you can't tell me to my sources, like, if you can't tell me something, just say I can't tell you. Don't lie to me and mislead me. And I feel like players feel that way too. And, like, so the players were sold by the coaches, by the front office, like, Justin Fields is our guy. He's our guy. He's our guy. So as soon as you pull the plug on him, it's like, well, he's not our guy? Like, it's like, so were you lying to me, or can you just not evaluate talent? And, like, I think that's kind of what the Giants are going through with Russell Wilson. Like, you told me Russell Wilson was my guy, and now it's 4 games in and he's not my guy. So, like, did I waste all that time? Like, I kind of feel like once you pull it on, and then what? Tyrod Taylor has a propensity to get hurt. So he's going to play 4 or 5 games, and then he's going to get hurt. And then you're going to go back to Justin Fields, who's a shell of himself confidence-wise because he lost the job. And that's how you get in this awful cycle. You're not going to go to Brady Cook.
Yeah.
So, like, this is how you get in this awful cycle of changing quarterback. This is how you become the Browns.
or the Jets.
Yeah.
So we full circle. Hey, listen, at least they won't have to watch their team on American soil this week. The Jets have been so bad, kicked out of the country. They got to go play over in London, punishing the Brits, subjecting them to this type of football as they take on the Denver Broncos. We'll see.
London's gonna
go ahead.
London's gonna say, you know what? Keep your expansion team.
Yeah.
Keep it. You keep it. We don't need it. We just watch this team. We don't need our own team.
Oh boy. And Jets fans will be saying, we've been dealing with it for years. We get it. That's gonna do it for this week on the Gang Green Blitz. Maybe the Jets might not be instant coffee, but perhaps they're London's cup of tea. We'll end on that note. For Ryan Dunleavy, I'm Joe Mauceri. Thanks for watching. Tune in each and every week. We'll talk to you next time.